Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Place of Grace, our daily lives. Well, today I invited my cousins who are house executives. We're going to be talking about the impact and role of a house executive in a family. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to have you guys here. Please be free, be yourselves. We want to hear everything in the most honest opinion, okay? It does not have to be about your personal experience. It can be also just generally. But you can keep it personal. We don't mind. We don't mind. Let's start here because I know that both of you did go to varsity. The decision of becoming a housewife or a house executive, was it an active one or you just found yourself as one? We'll start with Sayani.
Okay. Well, for me, I guess I don't even remember. I remember when I was like growing up and when I passed matric, I was asked, what is it that you would want to study? And I promise you, I never knew what I wanted to do. So I guess, God saw it through that guy. This one doesn't want to work. This one, because I remember your dad actually saying, this one must just study beauty. I was going to, into beauty. And, I still today think he was a prophet because I also didn't know myself that is what I wanted to do. But I decided, okay, let me study. I've always wanted a job that I would wear a uniform.
Yes.
I've always wanted to work maybe in a warehouse. I think I just wanted to look different from how I would look on a day-to-day.
Yes.
And that would definitely be a work suit or, it didn't even matter to me how much I would be making. It was just particularly just about what I would wear. And I ended up studying public relations, of which when I came this side, the first year I did about 9 modules. I only passed 4 and my mom was like, that's it. This is not going anywhere. You're wasting our money. And, I begged and I came back and I passed my degree with 14 distinctions. And I guess with public, the decision for me to do public relations was just purely because I knew how to talk, but I didn't even know what the job entailed, what it is that I had to do on a day-to-day. But I realized that most of the stuff that had to be done, which had to do with a lot of writing, which I don't like at all. I don't like writing. If I had to just jump in and start talking, that is what I would particularly want to do. If somebody could, I even struggled when I wanted to start a business to do a business profile. Because I just am not good at putting mind to the word. But to answer your question, I went to varsity. Didn't think that I would end up being a housewife. Yeah. So I was kind of hijacked into the idea because everything just went into a flow. When I finished varsity, I knew that the first thing to do was to apply for a job. I think it took me about 6 months to actually have a CV because by then I was already married. I was married in my second year. So I just felt like, okay, well, when I get a job, I don't know. I thought they would come knocking at my door and say, we're looking for a PR practitioner, And it never happened. And that's when I decided, okay, let me get a CV done. Got a CV. And then I had already started my own small business. And I guess it was never really a decision where we sat down and he thought, maybe you should housewife. Be a housewife and take care of the kids, because I always feel like with most people like abroad, it's always a decision that it's a role you play. You take care, you clean the house, you do all the domestication in the house. And unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I had already had a helper I didn't have to execute all those other duties. So, now I would actually, change, or the way people are transforming to calling it house executives, and I think that's it's become to that level where it's not just the man going out and making money and then giving it to you and giving it
the donuts and whatever.
Do you understand? And for you to sort your kids and him out, it is just purely the fact that you don't work for somebody else.
And Tendo, was it also just it happened, or you and your husband sit and be like, baby, can you please take care of the kids and the house? How did it come about?
I think for me, it never even crossed my mind. Becoming a housewife never even crossed my mind. I was so adamant on going to school, having an honors. At some point, I wanted to have a PhD.
Damn, girl.
But, I think this is where God placed me, and I had to come to a point where I had to allow myself to say, this is where God wants you to be.
Okay.
So, this is where God placed me.
As housewives, let's talk about finances. Do you find yourself participating in household financial decisions, or the husband just makes the decisions and you are told it's going in the left?
I think the biggest problem with a role that you play, which it's like you getting into an office and you don't really know what you do there. So 1 minute the boss is asking you to make tea, the next minute type this, So because we never really defined the roles of who you are and what you do, it always gets to a point whereby, because he has always made the money, even if it's not a conscious decision to say, this is what I'm going to do with my money. But when something you possess, when you've got your own thing, chances are you can just think, okay, I want a car, and then you can just go to a dealership, and then they can just come and inform you that, or he can come and inform you that I bought a car, But luckily, I never had to experience that, because there would obviously be other people around him that would tell him that, okay, when it comes to a car, you must inform them. Hence, but I don't know how much he makes. So I don't even know if he comes today.
Do you even care to know how much he makes?
Okay, I personally don't. Okay, I think for me it's a good thing I don't know how much he makes. Because there would be fights, because I'm a spender, and the good thing is it happened that he's the one who makes the money.
Yes.
He is very conscious in what he does. He's a conscious spender. He knows he's a person who runs with a budget. So when he says, okay, I want this car and I can't afford this car, I believe him. I don't even want to know, can you afford it? Because I know he's more conscious of those decisions that he's making. Whereas if I had to see how much you do, I'll be like, okay, no, don't go for this. Why don't you just maybe, go for a Bentley? But then on Sunday we won't have to go out. We'll cook, all those things. But we have never really discussed finance, and it's a very big issue when it comes to family, when you don't know how much he's bringing.
But Tendo, do you hold the same sentiment that as a housewife you would want to play a role in the decision making, or if your husband is doing good so far, you don't mind?
I think contradictively to what she said, in my family, I think I'm the one that knows how to handle money.
Yeah.
So he's the spender. So it's very important for us to sit down and talk about the finances. And maybe because I also know the money, how much money comes in. So it makes it easy for me to know how to coordinate the finances. And so it's a very vital role for me to know what's going on with the finances. And yeah.
But I think it's easier for the husband to describe himself, his role as a provider.
Yes.
How would you then describe your role?
Okay.
Yes.
So for me, like I said, because everything just kind of fell into place one after another, I remember beginning of our relationship, we'll both go and buy groceries. And by then, we only had one child. And then going further, then I had to go now buy groceries. Now I knew that was my also, part to play. But also because now I'm not just a housewife who's placed at home to make sure that, I go pick up the kids and because I also had my own business, for him mentally, he still had that thing that she doesn't work, right? So she's got all the time to be able to do the things that I can't do. Yes. And I'm thinking, I work for myself. I want to do something with the time that I have. I want to be trying to find something that I can do to keep myself busy, to grow myself as well. But in his mind, he'd always feel like if he didn't get to do something, I must then get to do, the other things. So I then figured, okay, when it came to kids, if there's something happening at school, it means there are costumes that need to be bought. I am the one I'll do that because I can always, flex my time. Unlike him who wake up in the morning and I know he'll be back at 9 or at 10 o'clock. So those roles, when when we have to, if there's like domestic work, I know I'm the one that has to deal with those issues, like I employed them. So for all he knows, he could come back every day with a new helper and he wouldn't even know because that's not his business. The rest is being taken care of. So
and Tendo, is it the same thing with you? Do you find, how would you describe yourself?
My role, and it took me the longest time to know
define,
my role in my home. But I think my role in my home as a housewife or as a wife to my husband is just being his helper in anything. Entirely, everything.
True.
And being a helper to my son's life as well. So anything that needs me to be helping my husband, that is where you will find me.
Which is a good place to put yourself.
Yeah.
But I've got a problem. Do you think that in-laws, how do you deal with them? Because they might think they're there for
Did
their
I just
son's
roll my
eyes?
eyes?
Yeah, they're for their son's
It's always the case. It's
So
always.
I think for me, married so young, I came from a home where we were financially stable, as I would call it. My mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, and my husband came from a home where his dad was working as a security here in Joburg, and the mom was back home being a housewife, right? And because of the dynamics of the way we were raised, when I started dating him, it was like, okay, she's had a good life, and then now he's working, and now I wanna now suck on. I'm a leech, you know. They will never grow because she's there, you know, grinding. Yeah, like he's trying to make this, and you know, and I'm just there. So yeah, it was very difficult, and I was very conscious of what I wanted to do, because I remember the first December. When I went to my husband's home, I realized, okay, when we're sitting outside, there isn't really like anywhere to sit. So I bought 10 black plastic chairs. I baked for my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. I bought him a butler tray, you know, like, you know, me. So I did all that. But when I got there, the reception I got, you know, I'm thinking, I remember my sister-in-law was walking in. She's the eldest. And I greeted her, and the greeting was very passive. But I feel in her mind, she thought, like, this is not impressive. I mean, you took our son's money and you bought all this things. Like, what are you trying to do? But, you know, in my heart, I knew why I was doing it. I had a reason why I was doing it. And I knew it made my husband happy that I was able to do. By then, he was not even my husband yet, you know. And I was already jumping into doing all those.
Trust you to do that.
I got myself married, I guess. So it was a problem because they you know, they might have felt that way. But it quickly changed when my father-in-law passed away, and I had to run the whole funeral. As young, I remember standing. I stood in front of the mirror. I'm like, am I going to be able to do this? But I remember at my home, you know, where we come from, we are such a big family, and there's always an event, a funeral, and I've always seen how this thing goes by. I can do this, and I executed that funeral. I called you guys. I said, you know what, guys, we are going to cook. We're going to make sure that this funeral runs the way it's supposed to be. And because they are royal and it's done later at night, we woke up very early. We cooked. I was running the show. During the week, I woke up. I was getting death certificates ready, getting him an outfit that he was going to wear. And I did all that. And through that, they saw my strength. They realized that I was not just this girl who was just, you know, looking all glam and coming to spend, you know. I remember I had to go soak off my nails because now, you know, things were about to go down. And it elevated me. It elevated them to not just see this girl who is coming here to spend our son's money. They saw beyond that.
Tendo, and then in your case, how do you deal with in-laws that they think you're here for their child's money?
Do I even deal with them?
You don't do, darling.
I think, there's always a connotation around a housewife. They don't think the house is being paid because, you know, they don't think of those things. All they can see is you're dressed nicely. They think makeup is 2 million rand.
You know?
So there's just always that thing. But I never have to deal with it, you know. I just told myself, like what happened with Sei, they will eventually see who I am, and yeah.
Do you find that there are issues that you are unable to address because you are not the main contributor financially?
Nope.
You are there.
No.
Tendo?
Honey, no.
Like, honey, what do you mean?
No.
No.
For me, I say what I will tell him. I think, you know, let's put a wallpaper here. I don't know whether you can afford it or not. I'm just saying this is what I'm thinking, because it goes back to you not knowing how much it has. Because I mean, I know, okay, this will be paid for, but this will be paid for. The only time you know that, okay, we are rolling here, it's when he's like, yeah, I think this is it. And you're thinking, that price. So you're thinking, okay, now you start Googling, okay, how can I best spend this money? Do you understand? So you not knowing how much he makes, it also becomes very tricky. But anything that has to do with the progress of your family, you can say it, and then if we can afford, then we'll discuss it. That I think this is a good idea, but we can't afford.
Yeah, I guess when it's coming from a good place, it's not like you want to spend his money. You want to advance the family. Yes. Just that the finances are stable elsewhere.
Yes.
Do you find that you also can raise any issue concerning finances, or?
I definitely can. I definitely can, because I think one of the things that have always been behind my mind and that I always tell my husband is, in a case where something happens to you and I am the one bringing the money,
taking over,
it's how is it going to be?
Yes.
So it also gives him, a two-way, he understands it from both sides. So, yeah.
Taking off from what Tendo said, I think there are things that are quite uncomfortable when you raise, especially concerning money. Since that you guys are not the main contributors financially in your houses, the issue of should life happen and tragedy happens, and maybe your husband is unable to make that money or he passes away, do you have those conversations to ask if whether, because you'll find that men in business, they don't usually have retirement funds, if maybe the life covers are enough, like such conversations to ask if whether the kids and myself, the expenses that we have are going to be taken care of. How do you bring up those conversations?
Okay. So for me, I never, sometimes, because I got married, I'll always refer to the fact that because I got married so young, we got married so young, certain things you'd never really think of. You're just enjoying somehow the now, and your mind just settles for the now. You don't think you can die. You don't think he will die. So let alone him dying, you personally, you're just living your life. You don't think anything that it's going to happen to you. So for me, it was, it only had to take an incident for us to actually get down to speak about these things. When we were hijacked and he was put in a booth, they left with him and they left me. I remember that whole week after that whole incident. Thank God he made it out. And when we sat down, it was difficult for me to even talk about it, considering the fact that there are so many how do I call it, incidences where you find women killing husbands for the money that's there. So it now makes it very tricky for you to want to bring up such topic. It's like you want to know how much you will be left with if he dies. But knowing my husband and knowing how his mind operates, I know that even before that I had heard him talking about insurance and all these other things, even though I did not personally know exactly how much he had left, and then I started, I had to ask him, I'm like, my lifestyle, right? He said, yes. And I was like, okay, I've got a stepson, I've got my own kids. So how do you think, because I don't want a situation whereby the mother of the first child will come and feeling like she is part of this, what we have here. How do you think this will have to happen, and as far as your businesses are concerned? And then it's like, no, my field is very specialized. I would never, want you to carry on with my business. You just sell it. And then as far as your lifestyle and your kids are concerned, this is what I have then made. I've made sure that your home will be secured. You won't need, all the cars. So one car would be enough. Would be sufficient. The funding as far as the schools for the kids would be fine. So the only thing I guess that you will have to manage is the levies and so I think with how much maybe you are also personally making in your own business, you will be able to sustain.
Tendo, do you find, what was the conversation? Would you be able to raise it, or is it a difficult one to put on the table?
I think it is, it's a difficult one to put on the table, but on my side, because my husband is he's into a very risky business, I had to come to a point where I had to ask, what are we doing? And I mean, I'm married to a young man, so I don't think he had...
To an old man.
Can we get that right?
Young man. I'm married to an old man.
I mean,
it's okay.
Not too older than me.
I'm hurt.
Sorry.
That was very projected.
So I had to come to a point where I had to ask, do we have this and this in place? Do we have? So he had no clue about those things. For him, he was just living large and stuff. So I had to come to a point where I had to tell him we have to have educational plans, we have to do this, we have to do this. I had to go with him because
maybe
you never know.
He can be like, I did it.
I did it, and the person didn't do it. So that one we're set and we're ready.
Okay. And in a world where women and men are competing in terms of economics, do you guys find that you're undervalued when we are conversating? Because maybe you don't go to work, when you put in your opinion, even disregarded.
Personally, considering also the age gap between me and my husband, even before we got to talking about other politics, in any conversation, because I just talk, I'm a talker, and my husband only feels that there's a need to talk only when he's throwing in good punches, like when he's got something very valid to say, and I just talk rubbish. So chances of him grasping what I want to say, he might just think, people, what do they say, makes the loudest noise? Empty tin. So I became almost like that empty tin that's always there. So to a point where every time when I'm with my husband,
I'm sorry.
Every time when I'm with my husband, if he's not on the phone talking about work, he's either talking about the economy and stuff. And to be honest with you, it never bothers me. I don't even know the vice president. I'm sorry. I just have to mention, it does not, I don't know. Maybe it affects me, maybe it doesn't. But I really do not know. I only know the Minister of Finance and the President. So
important portfolio.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm there. The other day I mentioned a late minister, and my husband was like, no. So I've decided to not talk about such things because I'm not well vested in this stuff.
Oh my God! You come in and rescue the situation.
Yes, I think. What was the question again?
You feel that your opinion is undervalued.
Yeah. I think there are times when I feel my opinions are undervalued, because I think with men it's a natural thing, because men are dictators, and once a man is doing all of the things in the house, sometimes you are too silent, and then he feels like what you are now saying is not really important because you don't say much, you don't
small.
You hold your position is not as big as he would think. Compared to his own position. So it is those things happen a lot.
And then when your husbands are interacting with working class women, do you find that you're being intimidated, or you don't give a hoot?
Personally, for me, my husband never communicates with a woman in my presence. I must just say, if they've got any serious business, they can email. Okay, in all this 11 years of my marriage, I do not remember a single day my husband conversing with a woman straight up. I only remember one incident when he came back very early from work, and a woman who I think apparently drives the same car as him was asking hi, and I was like, no, she must just call the dealership. I don't think you can solve this problem. So I've never been in a position where I felt undermined because he's maybe talking such things to somebody else. I do sometimes experience it when he's speaking to my sister, because she's in a field that would be able to advise him on some certain stuff. And I feel I don't contribute. I think just they say the enemy within, if you've got a problem with yourself and what you're doing, it will always project in your marriage and everyone. Somebody says something, you always think they want to offend you.
And it's not like they force you into this.
Do you understand? You willingly, you are here. If you want a job, you can apply.
Find a job.
Do you understand? But he might still not see you. So I never want to have the enemy within. I'm comfortable with who I am and what I'm doing. If he wants to call somebody, an expert, finance, whatever, to advise him as far as his money is concerned, I can't be complaining that why you're not asking me, because I'm not vested in that particular. So I'm good with whoever he may choose to speak to about any other thing that he might think I don't know.
Tendo?
I'm not intimidated, honey. He can go and talk to all the executives, and I know my place in my husband's life.
Yep.
What do you love most about your position of being an executive?
I want to tell you, I love my sleep.
Yes.
I love, one thing about me, is that I've always asked, like my sister will always say, you never cope in a working environment, like in a, because I want to do things at my own time, right? With my businesses, I've got time to think that, okay, this is what I want to do. But I feel like if I had to wake up and have a 9 to 5, I would honestly be miserable. If I do not do my makeup, I'm miserable. So if I had to wake up to a job where I'm there at 9 o'clock and then I must wake up at 7 and I would not cope. So I think the fact that I can manage my own time, that's what I like about being in a house executive. I get to also, reflect more, because there's that thing that people say we leave to pay bills, so
that's so important. I'm glad you said that, because I think that it gives you a time to silence you. You always have a time to silence your mind, and you're much more creative when you're not stressing about it.
Exactly.
You can continue.
So it's like people. I remember talking to my cousin. She was like, "Oh, the money that I'm making, like, in fact, my salary is not enough. Like on the 27th, because she wrote a status and it was like on the 28th. She's like, she's broke. I'm like, but you just got paid on the 25th. Yes, and then she's like, yeah. I'm like, have you ever thought of doing something? She's like, she can't do anything. She just, I'm like, okay, sell anything. Yes. Sell. She's like, I'm not good at talking. How do I convince people? And I realized that because people are just so stressed about trying to, make ends meet, they don't have that time, the luxury of time to even think of what it is that they're good at, what is it they can, And I'm so glad when we were under lockdown, because people now had time to think, My sister, for an example, she was the worst cook, but now she's the best cook.
I've been asking her, I'm like, but she always had a headache.
Yeah, suddenly she can cook. Do you understand? And she made gravy. She never waited for the onions to cook. She would just throw in the tomatoes. So the luxury of time, I think, for me.
And what do you enjoy most, hence?
I think because I'm an alpha woman, the control, because I control everything in my home. So for me, just that control to know if that's where I want my cups, that's where I'm going to get my cups. If everything, if this is the bedding that I want this week, I'm going to get this bedding. Do you understand? So it's just the order of my home, and it gives me peace.
I know that you guys keep busy by doing your other personal stuff. For those that don't know, can you tell them what it is that you guys do?
Okay, so when I finished school, the first thing I started doing was selling weaves, Brazilian hair. I used to get it from a certain lady, and I was only making 200. So if she's selling at 2,000, I was selling at 2.2. But the tricky part to it is, I would actually, if you want the hair, I would take you to her, and then.
Why would you do that?
But I mean, this is something that you don't even know what you're doing. For you just want to make that extra buck. Do you understand? I had an allowance already from my husband, but I just felt like it wasn't enough. At this time, I started driving when I was still going to school. So petrol, I knew he was hoi. Then when I started this business, which he did not approve of, he's like, I know you want to start this tomorrow. You're going to change your mind. You want to do this. So I'm not going to invest in that business until I actually got to Joburg, and when I got there, I left the keys in the ignition, and then I did all whatever I was doing there, and then I called him, and then I said, I can't find the keys. I mean, where do you begin to look for keys in Joburg? And when he came, the cousin actually went to the car and the keys were in the ignition. And that's when he realized, okay, I've been trying to stop this person from doing this. Let me maybe then allow him. And he's like, I'm not going to give you money to start this business or to expand it. I'm going to ask somebody to loan it. Then that way you can be able to repay it.
Yes.
I got that. But they gave me 5,000 Rand in August. And December, I gave them back the 5,000 and I still had stock. And also considering that this business, it requires a lot of cash injection.
Yes,
and so I had to be very disciplined with how much I was making, because for me, it was about proving a point, And then when from the selling of the hair, I started doing my own makeup, and people like you be like, I'm going to a wedding, please come do my makeup. I never wanted it to be a business, but it ended up being a business because I also needed to expand my wallet. Because it's like when you make 500, you want to spend 6. When you make 6, you want to spend 7. So for me, it always became about wanting to have more so that I can do more. And then from there, from the makeup business, which I'm still doing hair, I'm still doing makeup, I had to come up with my own brand of facial products, which is now in operation. I'm doing it with a certain lady, and even with that, I don't stop. I don't look at these 3 things and say this is who I am. I do whatever. I mean, I started selling chicken. And I'm a person who I don't pride myself when it comes to making money. Like if I come here and they tell me that this 3 things are 5 rand and I know they're in demand, I'm gonna buy them and I'm gonna sell them. And I work with, I can sell. It doesn't have to be. I'm a seasonal person. In winter, I can sell tracksuits.
True.
In summer, I can sell swimming costume. It doesn't matter. As long as what I have, I can expand it.
True.
I do it.
That's wisdom. Tender.
So I did Biko management at school, but I've always wanted to be in property. Yes. So I am currently a real estate agent.
Yes, girl. I'll be buying my house.
Yeah, I told her that, supporting a business is very tricky now for me because, I need to work really hard. She's been supporting all my business.
Very big business.
It's, yeah.
Okay, in closing, are you guys saving for rainy days?
Yes.
I save 20, I chow 80.
I save 30%.
Is that how it's supposed to go? But for me, my mom was even asking me the other day, like, are you saving money? And I said to her, yes, I am saving. It is important to save, regardless of how much you are saving. But just to have a savings account, which sometimes, you're very tempted to go there and take something from it. But I am personally saving. I just don't even know the figures. One thing I don't do is I don't know how much is my income. Okay, I can maybe check how much my allowance, but my income as what I do, I don't want to do that. I feel like I will end up having to, I would feel like I literally have to cut 50 and save 50. So I never know. As long as I'm saving that, let me just spend.
The discipline of saying I'll save X rand and you stick to it. Are you guys saving?
Yes, I do save 30% of my earnings.
Good.
So on rainy
calculation
days.
is the problem.
Guys, may we never have those rainy days, please.
Rainy days are like COVID. What happened with COVID? A lot of people didn't have cash. So it's very important also to have maybe a 32 days account where you can't just access the money anytime. When it's there, it's there. You just need an ample time to take out the money.
Well, guys, our time is up, and this is so good. Our time is up. I'm going to call you guys for a different topic. This was so fun.
Yes.
I hope you guys enjoyed yourself.
We did. This was nice.
Wow,
really
that's
nice.
good. Well, I hope you guys at home enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.